Welcome to About Mansfield. It's your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo, broadcasting from the Cellmark Studios, along with the About Mansfield news team. Colleen Daniels, she's out there in Studio West. This is the March 26th, 2025, 264th edition. Coming up, it's Mansfield News, Talk, and Information.
And a little later in the episode, you will have a chance to win a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice with our Mansfield Trivia Question, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance.
Let's take a look at the stories we're covering this week.
Injury crash on 287 causes major traffic delays.
A city council recap in a moment with the mayor.
State Senate bill may give school boards around Texas more control over library books.
Sober prom event promises a safe, fun celebration.
Prestigious college band to stop in Mansfield during their 2025 Texas tour. City quickly pivots from the Pickle Parade to the best little free music arts fest.
Mansfield Sports Park seeks baseball-savvy administrator. And in sports, a look back at an amazing Lady Bronco.
And in the talk segment, Steve will take you back in time with local author Jack Crowder. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
Are you ready to create unforgettable memories? Picture this: an enchanting event venue nestled amidst breathtaking landscapes with panoramic views right here in Mansfield. The Grandview Event Center is the perfect setting to bring your vision to life. From intimate gatherings to large-scale extravaganzas, the Grandview has flexible spaces to accommodate any occasion, be it a graduation or school function, art exhibition, or birthday or anniversary party. Book your next unforgettable experience at thegrandviewmansfield.com. That's thegrandviewmansfield.com. The Grandview Event Center, where memories are made and dreams become reality. Book your event today.
Hi there, my name's Angela Thorne with Moses Movement, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Emergency crews responded Friday morning to a serious crash on northbound Highway 287 near Debbie Lane in Mansfield. The accident involved multiple emergency units, including Truck 3, Engine 2, Medic 2, and Battalion 1, along with Mansfield Police. At least one person was trapped inside a vehicle and required a full extrication operation, which was completed at the scene. Medics treated several people for injuries, but no fatalities have been confirmed. The crash caused significant delays in the northbound lanes as crews worked to clear the wreckage. The cause of the accident remains under investigation by Mansfield authorities.
The Mansfield City Council held a regularly scheduled meeting on Monday evening. The following opinions of those of Michael Evans may not necessarily reflect those of the Mansfield City Council, as we do every other Tuesday morning. Top of the morning, Mayor Michael Evans.
Top of the morning to you, sir.
Let's just jump right into it and talk about what happened Monday night at the City Council meeting. Libraries were recognized.
Yes, they were. And you know what? We had a lot to recognize on last night. So your Mansfield Public Library received the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association's Achievement of Library Excellence Award. And this is the 15th year that the library has received this distinction. So we thank Yolanda Botello and her entire staff for being number one in our entire state and city. They are outstanding, Steve.
And you know, nothing better than a big fat check, and one was presented last night.
You better know it. We are thankful that Baylor Scott and White Orthopedic and Spine Hospital, they presented, get this, a $40,000 check to the city for the Arts Commission. So that is big time. We're blessed in the city to have such dedicated community partners, and we sure appreciated that check, sir.
Let's talk about awards and budgets and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Our finance department, we A number one. So the Government Finance Officers Association awarded again for the fiscal year 2025 our budget department a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This acknowledges the department's ability to inform people, readers, about the city's financial plans, and that is very important. And this is the 39th consecutive year that we received this Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. So hats off to Troy Listina and his entire team for that.
The City Council gave a nod to, or as I like to say, a tip of the hat to thespians in town.
Yes, sir. Well, you know that the city and MISD, that we are good partners. So we read a proclamation for Theater in Our Schools Month, I'll say it again, and we're visited by students from our MISD schools. And we just want them to keep up the great work because they are great folks, great students.
As they say, a clean city is a happy city.
You know what? A clean city is a happy city. So let me tell you what we did. We proclaimed that Mansfield is participating in the North Texas Cleanup Challenge now through May 22nd. And listen, I challenge everybody to participate and to help us keep Mansfield beautiful.
Sure. You had a visit from higher education.
We did. You know, we speaking of partnerships and just good working relationships, we met the new president of Tarrant County College Southeast Campus, Dr. Andy Bone. He came to introduce himself to the City Council and to give us the latest update on the exciting renovations and expansions that's taking place at Tarrant County College Southeast Campus. And we're excited about the fact that we know that a plethora of our students from MISD attend Tarrant County College, and a lot of our students, Steve, they actually graduate from high school with at least 15 college credit hours. And
absolutely. That
saves a mom and dad a whole lot of money.
Sure does. Let's talk about an auditor's result, a third-party auditor's result.
You know what? It's now this might sound strange, but it's exciting to give this news because our third-party auditors presented their work on our 2024 fiscal year, and in terms of financial statements, the auditors found unmodified clean options, and that's a good deal. Clean options, clean opinions. How about that? And no matters are reportable. So what that means is we're doing a good job in maintaining the city's finances and being good stewards of the people's tax dollars. So again, we received unmodified clean opinion, and no matters are reportable. So that was a good thing.
Things got a little serious when we're talking about emergency management team and their progress. What's going on there?
Yeah, you know, emergency management is very important. And the emergency management team presented a full overview of our current emergency notification system. Our emergency management team, they have resolved the issue that prevented a notification earlier on this month. Some people received notifications, some people didn't. And you know what? That's very serious. So we want to encourage our residents to follow emergency management's best practices, and that is to have a layered approach to emergency notifications. That means to have multiple ways to be alert in case of extreme weather and emergency situations. Councilman Brosh, I think, he actually gave the best commentary on this by saying to individuals and helping us to be reminded that we need more than just one way to be alerted. So, you know, you've got trusted news weather sources, you've got weather radio, now you have smartphone notifications that you must turn on. Don't mute your phone, you know, in that regard. And we also talked about sirens throughout the city. We looked at a study that said we would need about 21 sirens or so throughout the city. So all these are things that we're going to be studying, and we ask for our emergency management team to assess all of that, all of those options, then bring it back to council. And we're going to work on making sure that all of our folks are kept safe. But this is the first failure that we've had in the system to where there were some people that didn't get notified, in my understanding, is in about 15 years. So,
wow.
This gives us a chance to look, and thank God everybody was okay. Nobody was hurt. But then too, Mansfield sits in 3 counties as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So one county may give a notification, another one may not. And but we're going to figure it out because, again, you can't put a cost on a human life.
That's right. And the council meeting was concluded with items regarding infrastructure.
A lot of roads and streets and sidewalks we talked about, and we paid some money and we got some money back. So let's get started on one. So we had a $228,628 deductive change order for the construction of Guyer Commons Phase 1. Deductive is always good because that's money we get back. We had a $532,000 contract for the construction of Chapel Hill Drive, storm drain improvements. That neighborhood has needed that for a long time. We had a $369,000 contract to rebuild a failing portion of Warwick Drive. We had a $204,000 contract for bridge repair for Retta Road at Walnut Creek, that construction area. We had a $1,031,555 issue that we approved for Elizabeth Lane, and that was for paving and sidewalk improvements as part of the community development block grant. So we're putting sidewalks along Elizabeth Lane, that entire area. So a lot of streets, a lot of bridges, roads, infrastructure, but that is important to our residents, and we're just delivering on the promise of making sure that people have some good streets to ride on.
And kudos to the roads department for fixing, or at least temporarily fixing, the big dip on Miller Road right next to the hospital. I drive it every day, and it was just boom. And I drove it yesterday. It's like, hey, there's a little bit of asphalt put there. And I realize it's a temporary fix, but nonetheless,
we're trying.
It's now flat.
Well, look here, flat is good. And you know what? Let me do a shout out, a thank you, a high five to John Presley, to the Pickle Society for the outstanding Pickle Parade, to the city staff that helped to put all of that together. I swear it must have been about 40 to 50,000 people out there. It was a great day, great weather, and you know what? Our Pickle Parade is the best in the country.
I had posted on Facebook that I have not been to the Pickle Parade in 12 years. I was not only at the Pickle Parade, I was actually working.
You were working.
I was working the Pickle Parade. I have never, ever seen a crowd downtown. And, I used to produce festivals downtown.
Yes, sir.
I have not seen a crowd downtown the size of what I saw last Saturday.
It was mind-boggling. And again, I think we can all say that this was the best we've seen. This had to be the best we've seen. But, boy, we saw Mansfield on display. We saw what hometown Mansfield is all about, folks coming together, smiles. Man, let me tell you something. We just want that every day.
That's it. We call this A Moment with the Mayor. We do this every other week here on About Mansfield. Mr. Mayor, as we say, go forth and prosper?
Yes, sir. You go forth and prosper as well. Have a good one, sir.
Mansfield ISD is already following guidelines similar to a proposed Texas law that would give school boards more control over library books. The Fort Worth Report reported last week that Senate Bill 13, now moving through the Texas legislature, would require school boards to approve all library books and allow parents to challenge any book and have it removed until the board makes a decision. The bill also bans books with indecent or profane content and requires local advisory councils to recommend which books to keep or remove. Mansfield ISD has had similar policies in place since 2023. Trustees approve new library books at monthly meetings, a practice not used by most districts, which usually rely on librarians for book selection. Board President Kezia Farrar says the district's approach already reflects the proposed state law. Before board approval, the district's coordinator of library services reviews books using a rubric adopted in 2023. It limits content related to sexual activity, violence, and drug use, with different guidelines for elementary, middle, and high schools. For example, non-sexual nudity is banned from elementary schools but allowed in high school if it's not a central theme. Mansfield ISD also allows parents to challenge books. A committee of parents, teachers, and students reviews contested books. Since 2022, 2 books have been challenged, The Bluest Eye and All Boys Aren't Blue, but both remained on shelves after review. Senate Bill 13 passed the Texas Senate Education Committee on March 4th and now heads to the full Senate.
And Colleen, since we're talking about the school board, I want to take a second to invite you, the listening audience, to a city council and school board candidate forum on Monday, April 7th at the Mansfield Activity Center, also known as the MAC. Come meet the Mansfield City Council and MISD school board candidates and hear what's on their minds at this free event. Again, it's Monday, April 7th. At the MAC, 106 South Wisteria Street. From 5 to 6, you'll hear from council and mayoral candidates. From 6 to 7, you'll hear school board candidates. It's hosted by Citizens for a Stronger Mansfield and moderated by yours truly. Come by and say hi on Monday, April 7th, 5 to 7 at the MAC.
Mansfield Municipal Court is hosting its first ever Sober Prom Pledge event on April 9th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Public Safety Building at 1305 East Broad Street in Mansfield. The event aims to promote safe and responsible prom celebrations. Students can hear from first responders and guest speakers about the risks of impaired judgment and the importance of making safe choices. Activities include a drunk goggle driving course, sobriety field tests, and more. Students will also have the chance to meet the mayor, city council members, Judge Calloway, and local police and firefighters. There will be free food and drinks, and prizes will be awarded, including the titles of Sober Prom King and Queen and gift cards. By taking the pledge, students commit to celebrating responsibly and keeping themselves and others safe. Registration details are available at mansfieldtexas.gov. Type Sober Prom into the search bar.
About Mansfield is proud to be sponsoring again for the second year of the upcoming Mom Boss Expo. It's happening Saturday, April 5th. And with us on the phone to tell us about it, she's the director, she's the curator, she's the proprietor, she's the founder. She carries lots of titles. It's Mariah Dietrich. Welcome back to About Mansfield.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me back.
Okay, what is your official title?
So, yes, all the things that you said. I am founder, director, curator, all the things of the Mom Boss Expo. Yeah, everything that you said.
All right. Let's talk about the Mom Boss Expo. What is it? Where is it? First, how can people find out about Mom Boss Expo?
The Mom Boss Expo is April 5th, so not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. It is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 1218 East Debbie Lane, or most people know it as the St. John Lutheran Church. The Mom Boss Expo is simply, we are just a vendor craft fair event. So each year we get a little bit bigger and a little bit better. So we are expecting about 80 vendors. This is an indoor and outdoor event. It is free and open to the public. And we just ask people to come out and learn about local businesses here in Mansfield. And then also we are doing a food drive, essentially, for the animal shelter, the Mansfield Animal Shelter. And part of our proceeds will be going to the Mansfield Animal Shelter. And so this event is just about community, small businesses, and just having a fun day in Mansfield.
So it's a food drive for the animal shelter. So you want people to bring canned food and dry food for the shelter?
Yeah. So people, if they can bring any kind of, like you said, can or dry food. The animal shelter is also in need of blanket, if you have old blankets or towels, any kind of dog toys, pet toys, cleaning supplies is a big thing for them that I didn't even think about till we helped them out last year. So anything that would benefit the animal shelter. And if you can't bring anything, we will have a donation spot where you could just donate a little bit on the spot if you need to. I
was looking at my notes from last year, and you had about 60 vendors, and now you're up to about 80, so you're growing, which is a good thing. Tell me about some of the vendors. Any special ones you want to highlight?
Man, we have a lot of good vendors. We do have a lot of returning ones. We have some that we call our Expo favorites that will be back. We have like the Paisley apron, Play Park, the beeswax candle. They were our Expo favorites from our last event. And then we have a lot of just local businesses that will be showing up. We have some that are sponsoring this event, like Maintenance Matters, Freedom Chiropractic, Play Park, Azel Electrical, Camp Anathin, James Kate Roofing. And we also have Bridge Family Chiropractic, Uva Law Group, Mosquito Shield. I mean, we've got all these amazing businesses out here that are sponsoring this event and that are going to be there to show you their services, what they can do for you and your family. And then we also have a lot of shopping. So we have a lot of crafters that hand make some items that are going to be out there. And we just have a really great selection of goods and services that I think the people of Mansfield don't want to miss out on exploring.
It is the Mom Boss Expo. It's happening Saturday, April 5th from 10 to 3, 1218 East Debbie Lane. You know that is St. John Lutheran Church. And that is Mariah Dietrich, the director, curator, proprietor, and founder of the...
All the things.
Hey, by the way, congratulations on being chosen as one of Mansfield's 40 under 40.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be a part of that. Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely, and we're going to have you on later at a future episode to talk about your accolades and your 40 under 40, and that's quite an honor to be chosen. So again, we'll see you out there on Saturday, April 5th, 10 to 3 for the Mom Boss Expo at 1218 East Debbie Lane. Mariah, always a pleasure to have you on, and have a great show. We'll see you at the Expo.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. I greatly appreciate it.
If you're a music lover, you will not want to miss this free upcoming concert presented by the world-renowned St. Olaf Band. The concert is in Mansfield. It's part of the 2025 Texas tour that will take place on Friday, March 28th. 7:30 at the Mansfield ISD Center for the Performing Arts on Debbie Lane. The St. Olaf Band is led by Dr. Henry L. Dorn. It's the oldest music organization at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, and they're known for their high-caliber musical ensembles. This tour follows their prestigious invitation to perform at the College Band Directors National Association National Conference at TCU in Fort Worth. Dr. Dorn emphasized the uniqueness of St. Olaf College, where at least half of the band members are non-music majors, which is uncommon at this level. The classical concert program will include performances by student soloists and conductors and is free and is open to the public. Tickets can be reserved in advance at stolaf.edu and type Mansfield in the search bar at the top of the page. Tickets can also be obtained at the door. Again, the St. Olaf Band performs Friday, March 28th, 7:30 at the Mansfield ISD for the Performing Arts on Debbie Lane. Admission is free.
Speaking of free music, spring is heating up in Mansfield with the return of Music Alley, the best little free music arts fest in Texas. Mark your calendar for Saturday, April 5th from 4 to 10 p.m. as historic downtown Mansfield will host performances from the Band of Heathens, Tommy Luke, Sarah's Flamenco Dance, Mobley, and more. Enjoy local art displays, food trucks, and family-friendly activities. This is just a teaser, as Steve will have more information about Music Alley next week when he talks with City Tourism Manager Tim Roberts. In the meantime, you can visit MansfieldMusicAlley.com for more details.
Do you know more about baseball than just balls and strikes? The newly redeveloped Mansfield Sports Park is hiring a director of baseball operations to lead its new baseball training facility, which is scheduled to open in summer 2025. The park will feature 8 synthetic turf fields, an indoor training facility, and a batting cage area designed for year-round use. The director will oversee all aspects of baseball operations, including player development, staff hiring, and community outreach. The ideal candidate should have a high-level playing and coaching experience, strong teaching skills, and establish connections within the DFW baseball community. Responsibilities include designing training programs, running camps and clinics, building relationships with local teams and leagues. The role also involves managing day-to-day operations and driving player recruitment and program growth. If you have a passion for baseball and the skills to build a top-tier program, visit KemperSports.com and click on the Careers tab. Legacy alum dips her toes in the NCAA Championship Tournament, and we'll talk about it because sports is next.
I'm Philip Washington, Chief Investment Officer of Stonehill Wealth Management and host of the Wealth Building Made Simple podcast. First book I read in college was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed my life. And since then, I've read tons and tons of books on money. And what I've done is taken those lessons, simplified them, and I talk about those lessons on my podcast, Wealth Building Made Simple. So come hang out with us. We're on every major platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Wealth Building Made Simple.
Hey, it's Steve Casillo, and are you ready to make your voice heard? Want to bring out your ideas to life through captivating conversations and engaging visuals? Look no further than Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio, your one-stop destination for award-winning audio and video podcast recording. Equipped with cutting-edge microphones, crystal clear audio recording, and high-definition cameras, we're here to turn your ideas into engrossing content. But it's not just about the equipment. We're dedicated to bringing out the best in your content. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to elevate your podcasting game. We'll even help you with intro music, transitions, voiceover, and that professional polish that sets your podcast apart. So whether you're into interviews, storytelling, or simply sharing your expertise, Podcast Mansfield can help bring your podcasting dreams to life. Visit podcastmansfield.com. Podcast Mansfield, where creating your podcast masterpiece has never been easier.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a Level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community, and why so many people trust Methodist.
In sports, we turn the spotlight to a legacy high school grad who helped lead the Harvard Crimson to the NCAA Championship Tournament. We're talking about Harmony Turner, a 2020 legacy high school graduate. During her time there, she captained the Lady Broncos to a 10-4 district record and broke 14 school records. Her dedication was evident in her rigorous daily routine, which included early morning runs, shooting hoops during lunch, and additional gym sessions in the evening. Her exceptional performance led her to being nationally ranked by ESPN and receiving multiple accolades, including being McDonald's All-American nominee. She also founded the Harmony Hoops Academy, a nonprofit organization providing one-on-one training to underprivileged youth. In December 2019, the 5'8" point guard committed to Harvard University, influenced by her father's guidance. She majors in African and African American studies as well as sociology. During her freshman year, she earned Ivy League Rookie of the Year. In her senior season, she was named Ivy League Player of the Year and led Harvard to its first Ivy League championship. Off the court, Turner overcame early life challenges, including physical and emotional abuse by her birth mother. Her father, Rocky, gained full custody when she was in third grade, and her stepmother, Crystal, became a pivotal support figure. Turner's journey reflects resilience, leadership, and a commitment to excellence, both academically and athletically. So even though Harvard was downed by Michigan State in the first round of the NCAA tournament, the light will always shine bright on Harmony Turner's accomplishments, both on and off the court in Mansfield. If you have a comment about the show, the news, whatever's on your mind locally, the good, the bad, the ugly, come on now. You can reach us by voicemail at 817-435-2938. Our City Council and School Board candidate interviews are now available on the About Mansfield website. Visit aboutmansfield.com and spend 30 minutes with each of the candidates, or at least 30 minutes with each candidate who granted an interview, and I'll have more to say about that in the weeks ahead. Again, go to aboutmansfield.com, go to the top of the page and click on the interviews link. This Saturday, March 27th, is Smoke and Mirrors Day, which celebrates the art of illusion and deception. And no, it has nothing to do with local politics, as the day highlights the fascinating world of magic, sleight of hand, and tricks that blur the line between reality and illusion. Well, maybe it is about local politics. The day encourages us to appreciate the skill and creativity of illusionists, magicians, and performers who captivate audiences with mind-bending tricks. It also serves as a reminder of how smoke and mirrors have been used throughout history, from stage magic to politics to strategic misdirection in everyday life. It's a day to marvel at the art of creating wonder from the unexpected.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
I'm Angel Biasatti. Many people suffer from a severe headache from time to time, but not every bad headache is a migraine. We'll talk about ways to prevent headaches next in Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, imagine a cocktail that packs a punch of 1,000 spring days and a drink that's definitely not your grandma's margarita.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
Congratulations to Keith Kunkel, who knew that William H. Bill Hogg, a lifetime resident of Mansfield, founded the Cowbell Indoor Rodeo. When we come back, this week's trivia question. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto, home, commercial, and life insurance. I was born and raised here in Mansfield, Texas. We're active in the community, and Mansfield's a town we really care about. Our office has over 30 years' experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
It is time right now for the highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield Trivia Question. If you are the first person to email the correct answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com, you will receive a $25 gift card to a Mansfield area restaurant of your choice, brought to you by Joe Jenkins Insurance. Whether you're looking for homeowners, auto, commercial, or any other type of insurance, Joe has helped Mansfield area residents understand the insurance coverage that best fit their needs since 2010. You can find him on the internet at joejenkinsinsurance.com. Colleen, sing me a song.
Well, Steve, famed R&B singer Ella Mae Morse was born on September 12, 1924, and raised right here in Mansfield, Texas. She recorded for Capitol Records in the 1940s and 50s. This week's trivia question is multiple choice. What was Ella Mae Morse's best-selling song? Was it Cow Cow Boogie, Shoo Shoo Baby, or The Blacksmith Blues? Email your answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com. Again, what was Ella Mae Morse's best-selling song? Cow Cow Boogie, Shoo Shoo Baby, or The Blacksmith Blues? Good luck, and thanks to Joe Jenkins Insurance for the gift card.
Hi, this is Kyle Teixeira with We Are TPM, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti is here and has information about how not every bad headache is a migraine in Methodist Mansfield News to Know. Angel?
Many people complain about migraines. However, there are numerous types of headaches that are likely causing that pain. Typically, a doctor diagnoses a migraine when a person shows at least two of these headache-related symptoms: nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light or sound. Another thing that sets migraines apart is they can be disabling in nature for the person. A migraine headache often makes it difficult to concentrate, Many people have to lie down to get relief from their migraine or lie down in a dark room. Anyone who believes they suffer from migraines should keep a headache diary. Log the date, the time, the description, and location of each headache, and share those findings with your doctor to help pinpoint the symptoms, the possible triggers, and warning signs that a migraine is coming on. In many cases, that annoying to sometimes unbearable head pain can be remedied with simple lifestyle changes. The best way to prevent headaches is to take care of your body. Make sure you're drinking enough water during the day. There's a documented link between headaches and dehydration. The rule of thumb is for women to drink about 11 cups of water a day and 16 cups for men. Your body needs the water to keep it operating as it should. Exercise. Physical activity like Pilates or running can loosen up tight neck and back muscles and send positive hormones to the brain to keep an incoming pain at a minimum. Eat right. Many patients admit to skipping meals, which directly correlates to more headaches. Snack on nuts or vegetables in between meals could also help prevent hunger pains and migraines. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, headaches are just one of the many issues that can stem from sleepless nights. You may be at a higher risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke by not getting enough sleep. The recommended amount of sleep is 7 to 8 hours a day. If you keep up with your meals, hydration, and relaxation for several weeks with no improvement, it's time to see a physician to help find a diagnosis and the root cause of your headaches or migraines. To find a doctor on the medical staff at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, telephone 1-877-637-4297. Reporting for About Mansfield, I'm Angel Biasatti with Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
Shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain serves up a drink that packs a punch of 1,000 spring days in this week's Cocktail of the Week. Brian?
This week's cocktail is the Watercress Wasabi Margarita, a bold reimagining of Mexico's beloved cocktail that showcases how far margaritas have evolved from its humble origins in the 1930s Mexico. We're concluding our Spring Awakening series today with perhaps our most daring cocktail in the collection. So let's dive into some fascinating history. The marriage of Asian and Mexican flavors in cocktails trace back to the trade routes of the 16th and 19th century, where Spanish ships connected Mexico to the Philippines and broader Asia. However, it wasn't until the fusion cuisine movement of the 1990s that those cross-cultural flavor combinations began appearing in cocktails. Watercress itself has a remarkable history in cocktails. During the Victorian era, it was used as a garnish in various health tonics, and the Romans actually believed it could cure everything from baldness to insanity. That's just nuts. Meanwhile, wasabi's journey into Western cocktails began in the early 2000s with the molecular gastronomy movement, where innovative bartenders started experimenting with unexpected savory elements. But as always, don't worry about taking notes as I'm giving the ingredients and instructions. I always post them every Wednesday to bourbongospel.com. So ingredients: 2 ounces of a silver Blanco tequila, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of agave syrup, then 6 to 8 fresh watercress sprigs, plus a couple for garnish, and then a small pea-size amount of real wasabi paste, not the dyed horseradish that most sushi places use, and a pinch of salt and a lime wheel for garnish. In a shaker, we're going to gently muddle the watercress. Then we're going to add our liquid. We're going to add the tequila, the lime juice, and the agave. Then we're going to add that very small, you can always add more later, little bit of wasabi paste. Then fill with ice and shake extra vigorously. You really want to break up that wasabi paste. Then you're going to double strain it over a rocks glass over fresh ice, and then garnish with a watercress sprig and a lime wheel. And then finally, you're going to finish it with a pinch of sea salt. The salt helps brighten the cocktail and really make all the flavors pop. Flavor profile. First thing you're going to get is that peppery watercress and then that earthy, clean tequila flavors. Then you're going to pick up the bright citrus, and then boom, right there is going to be that wasabi heat. The finish is going to be complex. You've got a lot going on in this glass. It's going to be layered heat with herbal notes. Fun facts. Real wasabi loses its potency in about 15 minutes of being ground, which is why most wasabi is actually colored horseradish. Watercress was a staple for Roman soldiers and was known as a poor man's pepper. And then ancient Mexicans believed that agave was a gift from the goddess Mahale. It was first documented recipe for margarita appeared in Esquire magazine in December 1953. Pro tip. Temperature is crucial here. The colder the drink, the more the wasabi heat is tempered, which is why I said to shake it extra vigorously and use plenty of ice. Why end our spring series with this cocktail? Well, it represents the bold renewal of spring, and the sharp bite of the watercress mirrors the spring's awakening, while the wasabi heat reminds us that sometimes the best experiences come with a little kick. Pairing suggestion. This cocktail works beautifully with some seared tuna or tempura vegetables, creating a fusion experience that would make both a sushi master and a Mexican abuela proud. As always, I'm open to hear your take and your input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, as Mark Twain said, too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
We're back in 60 seconds with Steve's interview with local author Jack Crowder.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, this city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Cowley, president of the University of Texas at Arlington, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. And in the studio today, he's back. He's back for round two because it was back in January of 2022 that my guest was working in conjunction with the Mansfield Historical Society and transcribing the diaries of Louisa Foster. And we are about to find out what he's done with these transcriptions. First of all, Jack Crowder, welcome back to About Mansfield.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
When we spoke back in January of 22, you, again, as I mentioned in the introduction, you were working with the Historical Society. You came across these transcriptions of A Preacher's Wife, and remind the audience of how you came across these diaries and the transformation of how they went from the original diary to book form.
I was contacted by Marilyn Gerloff of the Historical Society. She told me that they had about 11 journals or diaries written by this woman from 1847 to about 1871, and they had them in a closet since the 80s and wanted to know if I'd take a look at them and see what we could do with them. I told her I would, and I went down there in June and looked through one and was amazed at what I read, and I told her these are historically significant. And I volunteered if she would let me take several home at a time, I would transcribe them and get them published. And so for the next year, I transcribed these, usually working 6 days a week at it because it was so compelling, each journal. And finally finished June of the following year and went to the TCU Press to see if they would like to publish them. And they were amazed by them and thought also they were very significant, and so they wanted to publish them. And the book has come out last December, and Historical Society, all the royalties go to the Historical Society, so it's a fundraising event for them.
The Private Thoughts of a Traveling Preacher's Wife, the Journals of Malvinia. Okay, Malvinia. Louisa Foster, Central Texas, 1847 to 1870. It's kind of a long title, but now, as you were looking through and transcribing the diaries, you mentioned they were historically significant. What were you finding in the diaries that you felt was significant?
Well, she described places where they lived in Central Texas. They lived in LaGrange, Austin. She talks about the building of the state capitol. When Sam Houston ran for governor, she was a big fan of Sam Houston, even though she couldn't vote. And she mentioned also about the Civil War. They had heard about the firing on Fort Sumter about 3 days after it occurred, which I thought was pretty quick. And she talked about slavery. She was against slavery, although she did have a slave, but she considered it more a person, more part of the family. She talked about various weather events, some of the diseases that hit some of the areas. And her youngest son, John Collier, he kept 3 journals, which are included in the book. And he went to Marshall, Texas, when he was about 20 and worked there with his brother. And he talked about the first electric light that he saw, the first telephone. And when this new craze came out in the 1870s or 1880s.
The internet?
Close. Roller skating.
Oh, roller skating.
He took up roller skating and thought it was the best thing in the world. And in fact, he was going every night for a while. And he was also a ladies' man. He had about 20 different ladies that he would promenade with down Main Street. So a lot of Texas history in this, and John Collier ended up marrying Etta Field, whose father was one of the co-founders, Julian of Mansfield, and they lived in Fort Worth. He worked for Julian in real estate business for a while. So it's very interesting, very revealing journals.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that you've mentioned Sam Houston and the Huntsville area. You mentioned Marshall, and to bring it all back to Mansfield, you touched on that the daughter of Julian Field married the son of Louisa, and which then gives it that Mansfield tie. Was there any mention of Mansfield in the diaries?
Not of the town. There, she did mention Waco, and but not the town itself. Another thing about Louisa that's historically interesting is she came to Texas when she was 6 years old. From Alabama, and her family came with Stephen F. Austin, and they were part of the original 300 first settlers that came to Texas. And her father received a land grant from the Spanish government of about 9,000 acres in South Texas near the coast.
Yeah.
So they were part of the old 300 in Texas history.
As a preacher's wife and a person who likes to write into a diary, what did you learn about her religious background and being a preacher's wife?
She talked about her early years a little bit, and I didn't get the impression that she was overly religious. I think she enjoyed going to parties when she was quite young. In 1840, she lost her mother and father within several days of each other. And then a year later, she lost her first husband and her newborn baby. So she lost her family just a little over a year. And she met Finis Foster. He was from Tennessee, and he came to Texas to be a traveling preacher with the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, and she went to a revival down along the coast, and she said she saw him, and it was love at first sight. And she became extremely religious. She was a very good wife for him. And she mentions a lot about religion and the afterlife. She was well-spoken, well-read. I don't know anything about her early education, but she loved to read and write in her journal. And the purpose of the journals were for her children to read it after she died, and hopefully it would guide them through life, because it was also a lot of scripture reading that she wanted them to take part in. And one thing that really touched me was she mentioned toward the end of her life that she wished that she was a good writer and people might read what she had written later. And then she just resigned herself to the fact, she said, I will just die unknown. And since Mansfield now has her journals in book form, she is going to be known.
She is now the immortal Louisa Foster.
Yes, she's a wonderful person. I grew very attached to her, and I managed to, after research, find her graveyard, which was in Austin. It was a large graveyard, and it took me about an hour and a half to find her headstone. And if you stand at the foot of her grave and look up, you'll see I-35, and then right behind it, the state capitol.
Oh, wow. Living in the shadows of the state capitol.
Yes, she mentions in her diaries that she sometimes would walk to the new capitol.
Okay. What was while you were in the transcribing phase, any surprising discoveries, any wow moments that mind-boggling, you just said, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming?
Usually it was when one of her children died or when she gave birth. She had a total of 9 children, and only 4 survived. I remember reading early in her journal that she was talking about her daughter, and she was just madly in love with this young child, and all of a sudden she mentions that she had died, and the way she described how she felt, it really touched me. In fact, I remember I closed her journals and I went in and told my wife about it, and I was upset just listening to how she described the feeling and the death of the child, and I couldn't even open the journals for several days.
Wow.
I didn't want to read any further for a while. But I also enjoyed reading her thoughts about slavery, since she had a slave, but she was against it. She loved Texas dearly, which I was surprised since she was a transplant. And anybody that spoke ill of Texas in her presence was going to get an earful.
You were, in a sense, living vicariously through Louisa Foster, that whatever, I mean, you said that the death of her child brought you to emotional distress for a couple of days. You were living, I don't know, or were you living her life?
Yes, it gave me a strange feeling to read all of them, because I may have been the first person that has read every word that she had written. But just to read these private thoughts, she didn't want anybody to read these until after she died. And sometimes I felt like she was talking to me.
Yeah.
And I celebrate her birthday now every year, December 2nd. But I did become extremely attached, and also when I stood at her grave, her children I was very impressed with. She had 3 boys and a girl. I must say it was funny to listen to her talk about her children. She was very religious, and her children sometimes would cut up in church, and it would just mortify her.
Uh-oh.
She was afraid what people might think about her and her husband. And she would get very angry at them at times. I think she thought they were going to burn in hell if they didn't straighten up. Her daughter reminded me very much of Scarlett O'Hara, just some of the ways that she would talk and kind of twist people around her little finger. But her youngest son, John Collier, he was probably her favorite. He was the one that never cut up in church.
Oh, good for him.
Yes.
Good for him. And then John is the one with the Mansfield tie.
Yes, it is. I was very touched one time when she was near her death. She was consumed with tuberculosis, and she had lost a lot of weight, lost her teeth, and she probably looked a fright. And John, the youngest, was about 6 and brought her some soup one day and remarked how pretty she was. And that was so touching because he really meant it. And she said, I can't believe he thought I was pretty, the way I looked and my cough and everything. But he was a very, very good young man to her.
You had 11 diaries. I would assume there were no photos in those diaries.
No photos.
So you don't know what Louisa looked like? Or
she was from her different things that she wrote, she had dark hair, very petite, and unlike many frontier women, she was probably quite pale. She wasn't her skin ruddy or tan like so many of them that worked outside. She didn't like to be outside. She liked to stay inside, sew, and read. So she was probably very pale. She had dark hair. I'm almost certain she had blue eyes and was probably quite attractive in her younger years. As she got older, she suffered a lot from illnesses. She lost some of her teeth. She talked about losing her teeth at times. But I think at one time she was a very attractive young lady.
How has working on this book changed your view of Texas history?
It's given me an idea of how harsh the conditions really were. She talks about travel, and when it rained hard, the rivers were up and they couldn't proceed any further. She talked about hailstorms. I remember one story, they were spending the night in their travels at a friend's house, and the hailstones started coming through the roof. And also she talked about the various diseases that sometimes would hit her children and other people in the population. And it gave me a real good idea of just how frightening some of these things were. Also, one interesting thing about Louisa, anything that she bought, she recorded the price of. Huh. So I remember that a preacher was moving up to Ohio and was having what we would call now a garage sale of some of his furniture and stuff. And they bought some of the furniture, and she described what type furniture it was and how much they paid for it. And from her description, you could go to some of the antique stores today and find the same piece that she bought for $5 for maybe $300.
Right. I wonder how the price of eggs was back in 1871.
I don't remember what she paid eggs for. It wasn't that much. She did. Someone gave her some hens, and she started, I think, sending eggs to people actually, or selling a few of them. They were always poor. In fact, after the Civil War, they had lost everything, and they were. He was traveling, trying to earn a few bucks, and she mentions that her children really didn't have any good shoes to wear. They were almost out of food. Yet through all of this hardship, she was behind her husband 100%, and she never regretted marrying him.
What were some of the challenges that you faced when editing and transcribing the diaries?
Transcribing was getting into the flow of her writing. She had good handwriting, and surprisingly, her vocabulary was very good at times. I had to get a dictionary to look up some of the words. And then on the other hand, sometimes she would write, and it sounded like somebody that had about a third-grade education. At times it was hard to understand some of her words because I had trouble making out the writing. And then her son, one of the sons, gave her some colored pencils as a gift, and she decided to use the colored pencils for about 30 or 40 pages, and they were extremely hard to read.
Oh, they started to fade, right? If
fade,
I recall.
And also pencil. She wrote some in pencil.
Yeah.
I had to hold the journal at an angle and shine a flashlight on it to make out each word. So it really slowed me up quite a bit.
You have the book in front of you,
yes,
and I want you to turn to the very last page. Tell the listeners how many pages it took to publish all of 11 of Louisa Foster's diaries.
Okay, this is her 11 and 3 of her sons. And it's been annotated. Everything that she spoke of, medicine, songs, poems, whatever, I researched to add to the book. So with illustrations, we come to 322 pages.
All right. So it's not a short story. It's a good read of someone's life and three of her kids' lives in the mid to late 1800s.
Yes, in fact, the total word count came to 300,000 words. TCU Press, and they did a wonderful job on the book. they asked me to edit it down, and I said I would because some of the things she wrote, she could say a prayer that would go 3 or 4 pages. And so I edited it down to 150 was what they wanted, 150,000. So it's very readable. I guess you could call it the fat has been taken out, nothing historical, but it makes it a much smoother read. And I found it to be a very enjoyable year for me to do this.
The cover says you edited the book. Does this make you a published author?
Well, I am.
You are.
This is my 14th book.
It's your yes. Okay. Well, and that's what I meant. You're not really the author of the book because you put all the
right.
But you are I
transcribed, put her words in it, and any comments that I added
were written by you.
Written by me. It's in italics so that you know it's that. Because I looked up all the medicine that she was taking, all of the events that she talked about, the people she mentioned, I looked up. And it's quite a project.
I can imagine. In the couple of minutes that we have left, and we're about to tell the listeners about how they can get a copy and specifically get a signed copy, not obviously by Louisa, but I would assume, Jack, you would be there at this event.
I'll sign her name if you want me to.
Is there anything that you want to include before we get into the event?
No, I don't think so. At the end of the book, I wrote an epilogue on the main characters, Louisa, her husband, and her 4 children, of what became of them later in life. And I had some photographs of 2 of the children. I made contact with Louisa's great-great-granddaughter, and she sent me some photographs to use, and the Mansfield Historical Society provided some photographs. So I did find that the 2 of the boys attended college, and it was in a town, Tehakana, I believe is how it's pronounced, west of Waco. And I visited the town, and I visited the school that they attended. It was sealed up with a fence, so I couldn't get over the fence to get inside the building. It's falling down.
Who has possession of the original diaries?
Mansfield Historical Society, and I have flash drives in there of the each chapter. You can, if you want to look at them, you could call them and make an appointment, and they could get them out for you to look at. It's well worth looking at.
Are they still in a blue box?
I believe they are in a corner somewhere.
There you go. All right, here it comes. The book signing. The book signing is April 3rd. I'll let you go ahead and give the details, and then I'll recap with the details again. The book signing is?
It's at the Mann House from 7
to 8 p.m.
7 to 8. And I don't know why anybody would want my signature, but I will be more than happy to sign them, and they will be selling them. And it is a fundraiser for the Historical Society. Every penny of the royalties go to them.
So Jack Crowder's not making a buck off this?
Well, I did make something off of it. Okay. The Historical Society was gracious enough to give me free membership in the Historical Society because I'd been paying dues for years. So I did get a kickback.
I think that's stipend enough.
It's fair enough for a year's
membership. Work. All right. The book signing again is April 3rd. It is 7 to 8 p.m. at the Mann House. It's about, the 600 block of West Broad Street. It's right next to Man's Best Dog Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Mann House out there, the original house of Ralph Mann. And go out and find out more information about Louisa Foster, and people can ask questions.
I hope so. Excellent. I enjoy talking about her.
Excellent. It sounds like she was a really, really close part of your family.
She's a member of the family now.
Jack Crowder, good to see you again, and I appreciate you coming back and telling us about the book, which is now available, and we'll see you on April 3rd.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Coming up next week on About Mansfield, we will talk in studio with yet another fine Mansfieldian. You'll just have to tune in to find out who it is. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, engage, connect, amplify, elevate, celebrate, embrace, explore, share, love. Come on now. Support this podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss an episode. It's free and it's easy. Head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. Enter your email address right there on the website. We will never, ever, 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 ever send you any spam. We promise.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor feature, Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know, Angel Biasatti. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production, editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without prior written consent is strictly prohibited. We thank you all for listening on behalf of the entire news team. I'm Steve Casillo, and this is About Mansfield.